All right, here we go. San Diego's Jazz. 88.3 in the new Jazz thing. Music there from Jazz Vespers, Volume 1. Archie Thompson and the Archtones All-Stars. At the Well is the name of the tune we're listening to there. Joining us this evening to chat about that is the leader of the band, Archie Thompson. Archie, welcome to the new Jazz thing.
Thank you, Vince. Good to be here.
And Pastor Jerry Andrews. Jerry?
Thanks for the invitation.
Excellent. Well, let's chat about what we were just listening to there. Archie, that was the first tune on Jazz Vespers, a tune called At the Well. We're hearing some great guitar and trumpet work there. Who was featured on that?
That's Alex Ciavarelli, the young, great guitarist, on the guitar, and Derek Cannon on the trumpet. Very soulful trumpet player. I love Derek.
So this disc that is being released this week here in San Diego, I was just looking down the list. It features a lot of great players, Whitney Shea, Holly Hoffman, Bob Boss, and more. Tell us a little bit, Pastor Jerry, about Jazz Vespers and how Jazz Vespers came to be.
Yeah, from the beginning, Archie's been a partner with me on this and imagining what the possibilities were. We're a downtown church. We're a big church. My sanctuary seats about 1,500 people. We don't have that many, and I have an organ with about 6,000 pipes and a robed choir and a 20-piece orchestra, and we know how to hit the bar in traditional music. But it struck me that an urban church and an urban sound, an urban day, Saturday, urban time, Saturday night, this might be fitting. Who knows? So we gave it a try, and from the beginning, it met with a really good response. And the idea was not simply to offer a second style of worship to my congregation, or in our case, a third style, but to offer something for people who probably weren't worshiping. So we measure the success by new people that we meet, and we're meeting new people every week.
And so Jazz Vespers is a traditional service, a sunset service, as I mentioned. And so this happens every week on Saturday, correct?
Yeah, there are worship services that are named by the hours or times of the day, and Vespers the twilight one. And through the course of church history, different things have been done at that hour in different communities, often monastic communities. But the simple timing of the phrase that, downtown, allowing people to have their full day, allowing people to have a full evening, but this in the middle provides the substance for many people on that day. And for a lot of people, Saturday is a great time for worship. I find that on Sunday morning I'm rushed. There's hundreds of people in the building. I'd like to be the pastor. I'd like to be warm and friendly and all that, but I'm working. Saturday evening, we can greet everybody on the way in, greet everybody on the way out. And when we say our prayers, we simply invite people to pray. So if Aunt Mabel has recently discovered cancer, we pray for Aunt Mabel. If your heart's burdened by the girls that are in Nigeria, then we pray for the girls that are in Nigeria. And it's a much more intimate service than what we would experience on Sunday mornings.
Mm-hmm. So Archie, have you ever before done something like this, where you played music leading into a church service, or music in a church? That must have been, I would imagine, a real interesting thing for you.
Well, if you would have asked me 25 years ago, you would have told me that I would be leading music for worship, I probably would have told you that you were crazy. But I did begin performing in church in the early 90s and volunteering. And I love playing in church. For one, people are paying attention. Which often you don't get that in some of the club situations that I play in. And just from an emotional level, it's unmatched, unparalleled. It's we've heard some of the greatest performances from our guest musicians in that chapel that I don't think you'll find in a club or a normal concert setting. And we are in the chapel at First Pres, which the main sanctuary seats about 1,300. We seat about 120. High vaulted ceilings with a beautiful natural reverb. It's beautiful sounding.
So the Archtones, who makes up the kind of the core rhythm section of the band?
Absolutely. I'm featured on tenor saxophone, piano, and vocals, and I have Danny Campbell on drums, just one of the swingingest drummers around, and Jason Littlefield on the upright bass, which those are my boys. And as you listen to the record, they're at the heart of every song. They really just lay it down.
And then this CD, how did the weekly concerts and the music that you do there turn into a CD?
Well, it was popular demand, really. A lot of the congregants were asking where they could get the music, and we were able to receive some funding, a grant from the Presbytery of San Diego to make it all happen. And we recorded over 4 nights in February. We recorded 35 songs in 4 sessions, all totally live. There's no overdubs. There's no artificial reverb. It's very organic. And out of the 35 tunes we recorded, we're using 33 of them on volumes 1, 2, and 3.
Excellent. Pastor Jerry, remind folks where the CD is going to be released this week and what that is going to entail.
Yeah, you have to ask Archie what it entails. I've never been to one of these. People don't normally associate with me with music. 25 years ago, people did expect to find me in a church. They didn't expect me to find me associated with anything musical. So that's the news for the world, I think. But this Friday night at 6 o'clock in the chapel where we record, there's going to be some live music, and 10 of the musicians, I think, are going to be there that have been a part of this. And we're just going to have a party, and we're going to probably play some of the tunes. For most people, they're going to hear them first time recorded that night. In fact, almost everybody. There's going to be some light refreshments and things like that in the patio that's next to the chapel. And the chapel is the entry. This is an old downtown church, and so it's a maze to figure out how to get into it. But it's off of 4th Street, the chapel, and it's between Date and Elm. And there is parking all around, and on the 3rd Street side, there's church parking. So you just walk around the block, but 6 o'clock would be a great time. And for an hour, hour and a half or so, we're just going to have a great time, release and make our first sales of the CD and send people home with great music.
Excellent.
Look for the jazz, blues, gospel banners.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, let's play another tune. We have picked out a tune that features vocalist Whitney Shea, "Wade in the Water." Archie, tell us a little bit about the tune, which is spiritual, and the performance by Whitney.
Absolutely. "Wade in the Water" has been around for decades. It's been covered by a lot of jazz artists. Ramsey Lewis had a big pop hit with it. Whitney does a fantastic job, and this is one where you can really hear the sound of the chapel at work. When she belts it out, you really hear the natural reverb. And I encouraged the musicians, as we were recording, to play the chapel as an instrument. It's a delicate instrument, and if you leave space and let the room breathe, it's a beautiful thing.
Excellent. Well, let's check it out. We're chatting this evening with Archie Thompson of the Archtones All-Stars and Pastor Jerry Andrews. Their new project is called Jazz Vespers, and Volume 1 is going to be released in a CD release party this Friday, the 15th at 6 p.m. at the First Presbyterian Church of San Diego, right here. From Volume 1, this is "Wade in the Water" on the New Jazz Thing, San Diego's Jazz 88.3. All right, mics are off. Can you see that there? Does it go on here when I turned it on? When I turned the mics on, did you see these go on? Okay. Okay.
Let's hope so.
No, it was on here.
Trouble the water. Wade in the water now. Wade in the water, children. Wade in that water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that yonder dressed in white? Wade in the water. Trouble the water.
San Diego's Jazz 88.3 and the new jazz thing. That's music there from the new release Jazz Vespers, Volume 1, Archie Thompson and the Archtones All-Stars. On an all-star outing, featuring on that tune, Wade in the Water, Whitney Shea. Joining us this evening, Pastor Jerry Andrews of the First Presbyterian Church of San Diego, and Archie Thompson. Pastor Jerry and Archie, thanks for coming back here to the new jazz thing.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
So, Pastor Jerry, so when you started this, has there been any feedback that made you change what was going on? Did you have to adjust the music or kind of work with it a little bit?
We knew we had one challenge up front. Well, obviously, the biggest challenge would be would people respond? Who knows? So we gave it a try, and we were glad for it. And I'm glad to pastor a church that thinks that the gospel is important enough to take risks with it. And so they were willing to do this. We knew our first challenge would be congregational singing is a part of Christian worship. Singing to jazz musicians, Archie makes it up as he goes along. It's called improvisation, but he's making it up. You can't follow it. You don't sing along with it so much. So what would we do? Here, the Gospels and the spiritual have really helped us. They are familiar, they are easy, and no matter what variations Archie and the musicians are making on that, we can follow with the lyric pretty well. So it took us a little while to get into the swing, but people learned that pretty quick. They wanted to, and so they did it. I would say that one of the challenges we had in the first year was, there's other ways of saying this, but I'm a button-down guy. I'm a Calvinist. I'm pretty straightforward. I preach from notes. People think of me as a scholar, and so it's all planned out. It's meticulous. This is we're in God's presence. Why pretend that you're supposed to come unprepared for this? And then there's Archie, who's a jazz musician and a jazz personality. So, this is where Calvin meets jazz. But what we wanted to do was to have people meet Jesus. So we worked this out. I don't know that Archie had to make any moves. I learned it. I had to learn to make some moves. And to be straightforward, jazz wasn't my first music. I grew up in the church, and so it's gospel on Sunday, and I grew up in Detroit, and it's Motown the rest of the week. But there's been a resonation with people who connect with this, and with me too, and I see the value. Jazz has just beautifully set the mood for worship. We serve a creative God, and jazz is, I think, the most creative music art form out there. It's typically American, so it meets us. Everybody wants more jazz. It's intergenerational. Everybody needs to learn more jazz as well. And then the blues, well, read the headlines. Nobody has to explain that the blues are appropriate. And people of faith are unafraid to sing about the condition of the world and the condition of the human heart. And then gospel, well, that's the business we're in. So we just love that part. So our challenges in music were a congregational singing, and our challenges with us was I had a style that was going that makes sense for people in a traditional setting on a Sunday morning in a big downtown First Church. But Saturday night in jazz and chapel, we had to learn how to swing.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned again that the CD, Jazz Vespers Volume 1, is going to be released at a CD release party this coming Friday at 6 p.m. at the First Presbyterian Church of San Diego here on 4th Avenue. Archie, you worked with quite a few different artists, not only on this recording, but every week. How do you go about choosing and inviting guests? How do you mix that up?
Well, I try and mix it up between vocalists and instrumentalists, give a blend for the congregation, keep it changing for the congregation. We have a core of about probably 7 or 8 that we will rotate through, and then bring in the occasional one-timer or two-timer. We've had folks come in from out of town. Recently, we had.
We've probably had 20, 25 different musicians in addition to the Archtones over the
We
3 years.
we probably have. We had Warren Cooper from Philadelphia recently, Liz Weiss from Portland, and
Nathan James comes down from L.A.
Nathan James playing the blues. And a lot of it is based on people's availability.
Right.
And it's nice that it's an early service, so you can come in. By the way, we start at 4:30 with a half-hour concert prior to the worship service. So
Right.
the first half hour is pure jazz, blues, gospel. Jerry lets us do whatever we want. Then the worship service is from 5 to 6. But it makes sense so people can come in early and then get to their gigs in the evening.
So this is volume 1 of 3. Can you give us a little bit of hint of what we can expect on volumes 2 and 3 and when those are going to be out?
Absolutely. Volume 1 has an emphasis more on jazz. There's still blues and gospel on Volume 1. Volume 2 will have an emphasis on blues. There will still be jazz and gospel featured. That will be released in August at our Jazz in the Courtyard concert series. We've been doing that. I think this is our 5th year.
Time, probably.
We set up outdoors in the courtyard. We've had Holly Hoffman, Mike Wofford. We've had Curtis Taylor. We've had Gilbert Castellanos. We've had some great guests. So Volume 2 will be released at the summer concert. And Volume 3 will have an emphasis on the gospel music. And that will be released early December. I thought that would make a great stocking stuffer.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Archie, I wanted to just touch a little bit on your work outside of Jazz Vespers. You're one of those lucky musicians here in San Diego that gets to make a living doing music all the time. So you do a lot of other things other than just your work with Jazz Vespers and the Archtones. Tell us a little bit about you as a musician in some of your other settings.
Well, I play solo 4 nights a week. I'm up at Trulux in La Jolla playing a solo act. And then I play with the Archtones a couple nights a week as well. Every Saturday night we're at the U.S. Grant playing from 8 to midnight. There's a lot of great jazz to be heard all over town. We have great jazz clubs like Dizzy's, and we have the Neurosciences Center that puts on great concerts. But there's also a lot of upscale lounges and fine dining establishments that feature jazz. And it's the type of room where it might not be a musical room, might not be featuring the music. You're there more to enhance the experience of the guests. But we're still out there playing jazz, and those rooms are great because they typically pay pretty good, so you can pay the bills. In addition to performing live, I do some bookings. I book the U.S. Grant. I have a studio and do some producing and just try and put it all together to keep a roof over my head.
Excellent. And Archie, where can folks find out more information about you and hook up with you?
Absolutely. If you go to www.archiethompson.com, check it out. We have several pages on the website, and you can see where we're playing. We have some exciting things coming up. We're talking with some other musicians about recording in the chapel. The chapel's a great sound. I'd like to get some more projects moving. I'm trying to put together a record label here to feature some local jazz, blues, and gospel. So a lot of fun things happening.
Great. And Pastor Jerry, tell us one more time the specifics of the CD release party this week.
Friday night, 6 o'clock, on the chapel, which is the 4th Street entrance between Date and Elm. Parking on the 3rd Street side. Everyone's welcome. It is free. There's some light foods there. Lots of live jazz being played. Some of your favorite musicians and the best musicians in San Diego. And some more cuts from the CD we also play. We also do some video obvious that make it obvious our connections with jazz's long history, with some of the great jazz greats through the decades. And that's all part of it together. Just come, tell me your name, and let's greet one another.
Excellent. And where can people find out more about First Pres?
Well, www.fpcsd, as in First Presbyterian Church San Diego.org. And you can link to the Jazz Vespers there, and you can find out more about the congregation.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to end things with one more tune from Jazz Vespers Volume 1, and this is Amazing Grace, featuring the Archtones. Archie, a few words about this?
once again, the chapel, the sound, the natural reverb. This was recorded our second day of recording. We started on a Friday, so this is at the end of Saturday. It's about 10 p.m. at night. We'd had 2 full days of recording, and we were all pretty tired, and I looked at Danny and Jason and said, let's do one more. And we recorded this at about 10 p.m. in a quiet chapel, and it just has a lovely sound to it.
Excellent. Well, Pastor Jerry Andrews and Archie Thompson, thank you so much for being here on the New Jazz Thing, and best of luck with Jazz Vespers, Volume 1, 2, and 3, and the upcoming CD release party this Friday.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vince.
From Jazz Vespers, Volume 1, closing things out here with Amazing Grace. You're tuned to the source for jazz in San Diego, KSDS San Diego, and KSDS HD1. There we go.